Hey, this is Gene. It was kind of a day that I had to talk about what happened the last couple of days under Manchester United. I don't know if you can actually hear it. We have some rain here in northern Alabama, and we might have some weather this weekend. Obviously, not as bad as some places in the United States, but there's a possibility we'll get something here. Just got done doing my yards before this all came in. But it's kind of indicative of what's going on right now for Manchester United. Not that Manchester United or Manchester isn't like this. I mean, I lived in England. I used to go up to Manchester many times. And almost every time I went up there, it was like overcast or have a rain and shower or not. Still not like being in Florida. You can hear it right there. Now, it's possible I may go back inside. I think these thunderstorms are a ways away from me. But if I see lightnings or something, I'll go inside. I don't want to deal with that. I mean, I grew up in Florida. We have a lot more lightning in Florida than they have here, but we still have it here. But I just want to talk really quick about what happened. From a logical perspective, when you look at the actual results, it would be very difficult for any manager to keep his job, finishing 8th in the Premiership when you're at Manchester United. You can get away with that at Liverpool. You can get away with that because I think Klopp finished 8th. Because Klopp also had won some things. Same thing with Arsenal. But it's very difficult when you're at Manchester United if you don't finish in the top 4, or you play a really good brand of football. They might keep you. Now, we had a lot of bad issues this year. Player issues, injury issues, sometimes crazy lineups and or style of football that can clearly be talked about. Now, I've always been late when it comes to firing the managers. I wanted Marino to stay. I wanted Van Gaal to stay. Ollie, I was probably right at the time when we lost to Watford. I think that the players just stopped playing for him. Rangnick was never going to get. He was never going to get buy-in from the players. Although they played 20 minutes the first game he coached, they looked really good. But it just wasn't going to happen. So, but you're going to hear a lot of things from the big fan channels here that it was player power, or this is just basically Glazers 2.0. I've heard other people call them the British Glazers. And we're having people come out saying that they had to go after McKenna if they really want him or not, and that started all this stuff. I think when Pochettino walked away from Chelsea, all this stuff started to come out. But what I want to talk about simply this, from a logical perspective, you can say he needs to be fired because he didn't do enough. He couldn't manage that team to get in the top 4 or the top 5, or at least have a chance to have it at the end of the season. And I said earlier on, I did not fear Villa or Tottenham finishing in the top 4. I said, if we get to 70 points, we would win. I'll find that video somewhere. I said, there's no way we're going to finish behind them because we're going to get to 70 points. Well, Villa only got 68 points. And when you think of what we did, how we lost, how we capitulated at Chelsea, we would have been above them as well. So we'd have finished 6th at worst, and really we should have been in the top 5. And if we just would have done enough in some of those games that we couldn't hold on to the ball in the lead, we clearly would have got to 69 points. We finished with 60. As bad as we've been all year, we clearly should have been top 4. But I said what I said. I said there's no way we're going to finish behind them. We did. That's on me, and I take that. But you saw how both teams just died at the end of the season. They were way, way, way ahead of us. And if we just would have won a couple of those games that we had in hand, we could have been right there on the last day to have a chance to get top 4. But I don't even know at that point that he wasn't going to go. It's possible if we beat Chelsea and we win other games in that run-in, that we probably finish the top 4. But anyway. But when you look at it from a 30,000-foot view and you look at the results and how many shots we gave up and how much our goalkeeper was under pressure and how many mistakes we made and the fact that we never got a really healthy team, some of it has to go on the manager. And as much as I want him to stay, I do want him to stay. But this idea, again, that the club is doing this behind his back, that they wanted this to happen, they leak it out or something like that, it's just crazy. That's not how it works. There are people, and there's so many of these fan channels or these people that work on these fan channels and do other things that are in the media that says, I can't believe this has happened to Manchester United again. And why would they do this? And why would, I'm like, because media like you want to get the scoop. That's how you get your shit, your clicks and all that stuff. So if you have anything, you're going to put it out there because the British press is so awful when it comes to sports, especially for Manchester United. They say things that are so out of bounds, and then they have nothing. It's just almost opinion at that point. So when it just started trickling out a couple days ago, we all knew this is where we were. We all knew there was a good chance he would actually be fired or walked away or anything. I mean, from what we've heard, he's had several other offers, and he said, no, I'm going to stay for Manchester United. Well, we don't know that. This may have already happened behind the scenes, and he said, look, I've got this, and I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. The only issue is how it comes out. It shows that we're a very poorly run team, whatever that means. But the fact is, we're the team that everybody tries to find the shit out about. We have moles everywhere. We have people that'll say shit that doesn't mean anything. They'll just throw shit at the top on the wall and say maybe one of them will stick, and that's a story. And all these fan channels do the same shit. They sit there, question mark, Ten Hag fired or going away. And this was 6 months ago. So they're doing the same shit, and they're looking for something to get clicks. And as good as some of them are, I mean, I said there's a couple of them really good fan channels that don't do shit like that mostly, but there are a lot that do. The ones that have the most power do this shit. So when they talk about saying they're not really in the media, or this morning, Mark Goldberg said, I knew this shit before. I have sources. I have all this stuff. Well, of course he has. He's got the biggest media thing for Manchester United. He's bigger than BBC. He's bigger than Channel 4, ITV, Sky News. More people watch him than everybody, anything. The talk sport crew does not get as much that Mark gets. They just don't. And maybe Mark has got shit, somebody that works back in there. But I mean, most of what he said this morning I agree with. I think that there's a culture at the club that's been kind of like destroyed because Ineos is coming up and they're these businessmen that they want to, what's the word? Like when these hedge funds come and take a company and they downsize it. I mean, what they did for all the families that are supposed to go watch the FA Cup at Wembley as like a reward, they're not going to do that. You have to pay your own way. So if you're there and you hear things in the hallway and you say, I want to pay for my money to go to this, who's to say that they don't say something to a bad reporter and they release this shit? I mean, let's just say this. The walls have ears in Manchester United. That area they need to fix. You know, and then you hear the off part of it. It's like, well, they only want a British manager to play. They only want British players to play here. And they're basically xenophobic and all that shit. And that's an undercurrent of what's going on with some of these channels saying this stuff. The reason why I didn't want Ineos to do this because he's wanted this type of thing. He wants British players to play for Manchester United. And I did a long video about that, and one of my better videos. And a lot of people didn't like what I was had to say, and there were some people that agreed with what I believe. And I just think Manchester United is the biggest club in the world. They should have more British players on it. And if possible, they should have a British manager, I would think. I got nothing against McKenna. I mean, when I was living in Manchester, when I was living in England, I lived near Ipswich, Norwich. I was in East Anglia. And I hope they do well when they come up. If he is the new manager, I'm going to support him. Nobody's bigger than a club. As much as I like Ten Hag, he has to take some of the responsibilities for the style of play that we played. Now, yeah, if you don't have the players to play the style of play, his only issue I have with him is there's no plan B. Until it became, he said, we're just going to be chaos. And we're going to try to beat us because we have certain players that have an individual talent that can get goals. And that's how we won some of these games and how we lost some of them. I mean, that Chelsea team, we should be at 4-2 in extra time, and we didn't. There was lightning there, but that was heat lighting. So anyway, it's clear, probably 99.9 he's leaving. I think that was probably always what's going to happen. How does that affect the team tomorrow? I have no idea. I would hope that they will do everything they can for that manager so he can walk away with a trophy and he can walk around and we can celebrate him and he could be a legend of the club. It's because if he does that, if he beats City and then he wins two trophies in 2 years, had the best winnings percentage of any manager uh, since Ferguson, that's going to be kind of weird when we see that. I mean, he's got a lot of losses, but his winning percentage is just as good as Ferguson's was, or better. And they're just the club is so huge and so many fans and so many people on social media and all this stuff. There was a huge movement of getting Ten Hag out, but the real fans, and I don't want to say, but people that actually watch the team, watch all the other stuff, the shits in the background, the youth team, all that stuff. They see what's happened to the youth team. The under 18 team won everything this year. They were playing the same type of brand of football that Ten Hag was playing. This thing was going through. It was going to make the culture change. Then eventually, in a couple of years, maybe we'd have challenged for something. But you got to get rid of some of these players. And of course, the first thing everybody's saying is because player power is won again, and these players are going to get their third or fourth or fifth chance to oppress another manager. And then the question is at this point, if it's not Ten Hag, and I still want him to stay, and I hope that we win tomorrow, and hope the players come up and say I want him to stay, and if they really have all this fucking power, they should come out and they support their manager. Now, the issue that I have, and everybody was just fawning over this whole thing, Bruno left something out today, and it just long diatribe about how much he loves Manchester United and how he got the call that he was going to Manchester United. He was crying, all that stuff, and that's all great. It's all theater. That's all great. That he's our captain. The question is why this comes out now after all this shit came out. Now, obviously, it's just a message from the captain before the FA Cup final, and that's fine. But the love he talked about, the club and everything like that, I think that this was like something to stop all the shit's going to happen after the game. It's already happened before the game, and I think that was strategic on their part, because there's a good chance he'll leave. If he doesn't like the new manager that's coming in, why would he stay? I don't know that Pochettino is a better player, or Flick, or Tuchel, or McKenna, or whoever at this point. Those players have never done enough, been consistent enough for any manager. We had glimpses over all these managers except for Rangnick. We had glimpses where we had a good team. Last year we were 1 point behind Manchester City at the break. We were 3 or 4 points behind Arsenal at the break, and then after we came back, we just couldn't keep the consistency. We had a few injuries, not like we had this year. We lost some form, and after we won the League Cup, we kind of went down as well, and we could not do well against teams that were in the bottom 10. We didn't get the results that we needed, and we fell off the thing, but we still finished third. This year, it was like a storm, and certainly last year we won a lot of games by 1 point or 1 goal, and we didn't win of those. We lost things. We had shit that happened to us. Last year we had the red cards against Casemiro that cost us some points too. I know because it's Manchester United. We are anybody. I mean, I've been everywhere in the United States or in the world, and as far as the team that gets covered, it's not even close. Manchester United's it's a way above the Dallas Cowboys or New York Yankees or anybody that we have in the United States. Manchester United is covered, and it's covered not really ethically right. I think a lot of these stories were ready to be out there, and they decided, well, might as well just put it there right now. There's nothing else going on before the FA Cup final. We'll just put it out there right now. We'll have one guy that comes out and says something. It's the old Italian dude, DiMarzio, comes out and says he's probably not going to stay. They're already looking for other people, and then it was kind of like it opened up the can of worms. And I think everybody had these stories already set up to put it out there. It's just, it's like I've said it so many times that you cannot trust this media when it comes to they're never right about transfers. Manchester United is going to get this player. There's another one. But what is those? Yeah, it's ways away. So I probably won't be talking too much longer. Yeah, it's still about 10 miles away. But we never get these players. And it's the same thing with this. Just because they have a source there, like I said, it could be somebody that's walking in the middle of the thing. They thought they were going to take their entire family to the FA Cup final, and normally the team would have paid for that if you're an employee there, but they decided, no, we're not going to do that, and they're upset about it, and they hear something in the background saying, we've already decided we're talking to McKenna, because Chelsea is now talking to McKenna, so we have to do this because we really want a young player, or young manager. Okay, and then they just put that out, and they get $10,000 from the Mirror or something like that, because that's what happens. So you can't look at that as ethical reporting. And the other thing is, this whole thing about, I've heard Mark say this, other pundits, fan channels saying that because this young guy's coming in, if he is the new manager. I mean, he was under Ollie, under Mourinho, that he's a puppet for Ineos. Or they want to manage the team or run the team a little bit differently than other teams have. They don't want this overpowerful, like Sir Alf Ferguson type of character, or Ancelotti, or Mourinho. They want somebody that's that they can mold, I guess, that will just do whatever they want them to do. And I just don't think that's actually true. Now, they're businessmen, so maybe they want that. You know, you're going to hear it now, I've already heard it now, that we're being run by like American sports clubs are. And there's some truth to that, because there are a lot of owners that are American, and they think now that's the model. Well, after 2 or 3 years, we get rid of the manager. Where it used to be the manager was almost like the focal point of the big clubs, and in England, but it's not really that way anymore. Everything has become so fractured, and it's not really a team sport anymore. It's player FC. You know, Ronaldo FC, Mbappe FC, or Rashford FC, or Sancho FC. And before I go, I just want to say this. You, as a fan of Manchester United, are you going to welcome back Sancho? In the back of my mind, I said, the reason they're doing this shit is because what if Sancho lifts up the European Cup on Saturday? Is it Saturday or Sunday? It must be Sunday. It's not the same day as what's that next week? Oh, it's like June. Yeah, it's next Saturday, and we're driving. So if he lifts that up, it's like a FU to Manchester United. I mean, I think they get some money for that, but I don't know. I mean, does anybody thinks that Sancho was right in that position? Anyway, I feel bad for Ten Hag, but he'll live. I'm sure he has. I'm sure there's other places that want him. You know, he might go to Munich. He might go to Juventus. He might go. Who knows? He might stay in the Premiership, but he's going to play somewhere. He's going to be a manager somewhere else, and we're going to see him again. And I hope when that happens, I hope that if we're playing somebody it's not going to be next year in Europe, but in a couple of years, if he's a manager somewhere, I hope that if we're having a leg back at Manchester United, that the crowd will stand up and applaud them, which they will. Because I think for the most of us, you know, we're about 80-20 on this. I think most of us want him to stay because we see the glimpses of the type of play that he wants to play. And I will say that the biggest issue I had, I didn't really get to say it before, is that he's very stubborn at what he wants to do. He said earlier this year that he wants to be the most proactive type of team in the world, progressive. And I think that that's hurt him quite a bit, and allows that middle of the park being so wide open, he doesn't have the players to play there. So we get so many shots against us. Now, they're not all great shots, but some of them go in. Now, you hear that? Now, if we didn't have any of this noise coming on with the manager and all that stuff, it was still going to be a very tough task to beat City. I just wonder how these players are going to respond to this. You know, Before all this happened, I thought we had a chance. I mean, Onana's got to have a great game. And Rashford is probably going to start. And he's going to have to, when he has the chances, he has to score. We're going to get 3 or 4 chances. This is probably the worst Manchester United team we've had in a long time. But we beat a City team before. They have a problem in the back. They can be beat if you get it over the top. We have players that have pace. We have if you give Hoyland anything, he's going to do something. If our captain Bruno actually has a really, really good game, we could win. We could definitely win. It's just a football game. But before all this, I said probably we're going to lose 2-1, maybe in extra time. I have no idea. I hope that somehow we win the game. I don't care if City has 700 shots and can't score. I mean, we get something at the end of the game, a dodgy penalty, and Bruno puts it in, and that's the end of the game. We win 1-0. It doesn't really. He needs something. What I worry about is that it might be 6-0, because I think these teams, this players will use the whole shit that's happened the last couple of days as their excuse not to try. Bruno won't do that, but I don't know. I don't know. You don't know about City either. I mean, they're a good team, but they're not the best in the world. They were last year, kind of. I don't know. I just want us to have a chance. I don't want us to be up like 2-0, and then we give up the game at the end of the season. But if we get up ahead, we have to. When we get the chances on the break to make it 2 or 3-0, we have to fucking do it. But regardless of that, if we have a chance, like we had last year, Garnacho hit the post. We could have gone in extra time. We gave them issues at the end. I just don't know if we have enough quality that have they been playing together for so long, we might have a chance. The other issue is the fact is these guys haven't been out there much, so they might actually have more energy because they've been playing all year, but their stamina will not be as long. So our bench has to have the bench right. We have to be in the game with 20 minutes left. When I say we have to be ahead, to be in the game, if we're up 3-0, we're still in the game, but they have a chance to come back and win. We showed what Coventry can do. But if we are in the game with 0-0 or down by 1, with 20 minutes left, we have a chance to do something. I hope to God they play for the manager, and I hope he said, let's just go out and have a good time. I'm sure he's going to talk to the team about that, and I think the manager, they probably already know. And I think that Ten Hag probably is known. But there's so many different reporting that said that he had Bayern Munich had come in and said, no, I'm going to stay here. This week, I guess, or last week. So he was under impression that he's going to stay. And then this all happened. And then people, Mark says everybody's mad. Well, he should be mad if this is really what happened. You shouldn't do stuff behind someone's back. But you have to also look to the future. If you're at Ineos, you have to have a plan B. Now, they could have done this after Crystal Palace. They could have done this when we were no longer have a chance to be in the top 4. But we still have a chance to be in Europe next year. So I just think you give him a chance to win the FA Cup. If he does, then you give him a chance, but whatever. They made a decision. New owners, they can do stuff like that. I don't think there's anything but the fact that they're British and they're only one. The whole shit that they've been talking about that. Manchester United is one of the most wokest corporations in the world, so I don't think that's the issue. So we'll see. I'll definitely be watching the game tomorrow. I hope we have a chance to win the game. Probably the percentages is we'll be getting blown out because of the situation of what's going on. And the fact is, why would they support their manager if I would think since they're adults that they realize that this is not good how he's been treated, that they'll want to do something for him. I hope. Anyway, so I'm going to say my heart says 2-1. and we win, and we lift the FA Cup, and he walks around the field with it, and we all can applaud him, and just like we did with Bengal. Yeah, I think Mark said this morning, so I'll take it before I leave. If I was a Dutch person who had a chance to manage Manchester United, I would never come. Win a league or win a title in something, and then they fire you. I'll talk to you guys later after the game. Maybe I'll do something tomorrow before the game. Well, before I leave, I'll just tell you what I think the lineup will be. Since he doesn't care, he knows he's probably leaving, I think he's going to probably play the players that he trusts, and it might be unfortunate for him. He might put in McTominay. I wouldn't do that. Not this early in the game, but I think he might shock some people. People said that there's already a list out there who's going to be starting. If all this stuff came out and he didn't know nothing about it, I don't think that what he would have had on that list is probably will change right now, because he might put Ahmad out there, Garnacho, Hoyland, and just everybody else who didn't do what they were supposed to do this year to play. But I think he'll do this. If they're fit, you're going to have Wan-Bissaka and Delo is going to play. If they're fit, Martinez and Varane will play. If Varane is not fit enough, it'll be Martinez and O'Shea. Johnny Evans. But I think it's going to be Varane, because I think Varane can give him at least 60 minutes. And that might be the issue if we're up 1-0 as we take him out and then we lose because we don't have. They might bring Kambala then in for that, so that might happen. If they're fit, it'll be Martinez and Varane, because that was a team that played well last year, had the most clean sheets. I think that will be the thing. The midfield, regardless of how bad Casemiro's been, he has to play. And then Minu has to play, and that means Bruno has to play. Up front, Rashford's going to start because of what happened to him in England, and also the fact he scores against Manchester City. So he's going to start. The question is, I think it's Garnacho on the other side, and it's whether or not we play a false nine. Whether McTominay comes in and then Bruno's up there, and then you bring Hoyland in later on. The game may be gone by then. The fact that he brought in Hoyland has had 2 games, I don't think he's going to do it. It's one of those weird things. If I thought he was going to stay next year, I think he probably starts McTominay here. He's going to start Hoyland, I guess. But it might be, if he wants to really win the game, I think in his mind, he thinks he brings in McTominay, and McTominay with his size will at least do something around Holland. So, yeah, it's whether we do a false nine. We have a lot of things we can do with our team. Anyway, that's it. I just want him to walk out with his head held high, holding the FA Cup, and then walk around the stadium and be serenaded by our fans. And they'll probably do that anyway if we lose 1-0 or 2. I think that's going to happen anyway. But I would love it if he had the FA Cup and he could just say goodbye. And then Varane and all those guys could take Martial. Maybe Martial comes off the bench and gets a goal to win. That'd be great too. Good things. Or let's say Varane scores and then Martial gets the winner. That'd be great. It'd be like a slap in the face to Manchester United. And then we're getting rid of these players. But again, Martial is a great player, but he's not fit enough. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments. And it is a fucking drama here. I don't like it. We look like stupid. But the other issue is that there's the shit that's on the outside of it that makes it even bigger. It just flames the fire of everything. And a lot of it is 99% of it is wrong. You guys have a good day, and we will talk to you later.